Today, we're joined by an inspiring Gen Z organizer and the executive director of the Tour to Save Democracy, Sam Schwartz. Thank you for joining us on the Suburban Women Problem.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's get right into it. President Biden stepped aside, and endorsed Vice President Harris yesterday. What are your thoughts? And what are you hearing from other young people? You are man on the street, young person on the street. So we'd really
Yeah,
like to know about that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I mean, I don't think there could have been better news. It's the best thing that could have ever happened. And I'm saying this as somebody who loves President Biden, and who knows how successful he is legislatively. I believe that he
Mhm.
is the most successful president legislatively in modern America. I mean, he has passed the first gun violence prevention bill in 30
Yes.
years. He did
Mhm.
that with a split Congress, which, some
Mhm.
presidents couldn't even do that with a Democratic majority in Congress.
Yep. Mhm.
He opened the very first office of gun violence prevention in the White House. It was the first one in American history. So I mean, we're really talking about a president here who had actually like a fantastic first term, and I'm still saying that it was absolutely the right move for him to step down. He just sadly was viewed as too old, and I don't think there's anything he could have done to negate that. And I think this actually shows like why he's such a good president, because he was able to pass the torch to a new generation, to his vice president, who he has built up throughout this entire administration, and is now saying, I trust you to now lead the country and defeat Donald Trump, which to me speaks volumes of the patriot, the kind of person he is. And I'm just so excited because in the very first 20, not even 24 hours, I think we've raised like $80 million. Like it actually feels like for the first time in this election, people are really excited.
The enthusiasm jump is definitely a
Palpable.
thing. I will say
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I mean, when I talk to young people, just to answer your question, before Biden dropped out, I mean, it was morbid. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like they were like, I don't even know if I'll vote. I hate Trump, but I'm not excited about Biden. And I would tell them the things like I would tell you the things I just told you. Like, look at all the stuff he's done. And sadly, it's not that's not what's getting them out. I mean, they're just not they weren't excited about him is the end of the story. Like they were not excited about Biden. They know who he is, they know who Trump is. Now this is giving them a reason to go out and vote. Like we have like a real energetic, vibrant candidate who speaks to young people. I mean, I don't know if you guys have opened TikTok or Instagram in the last day. My For You page is actually flooded with like memes of Kamala. Like it's really like it's this hasn't happened before in the cycle. It hasn't happened before in years. Like this is kind of like we're in Bernie levels of support right now. Like really, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean,
Yes.
this is the best thing that could have
A
happened.
lot of it mimics that, and even the small dollar donations and all of those things. I do think we are seeing a brand new energy. We have definitely, caffeinated this campaign, if I might say. We needed something. We've got that jolt of energy, and I'm really excited to see that. You kind of brought this up, but I want to just kind of hear. I'm in politics. And when talking to consultants and when talking to people about election strategy, a lot of times we're told that people in Gen Zers, they don't actually care enough that you should go after their vote. Now, I do not agree with that. I engage with young voters all the time. I'm even the co-chair of our Future Caucus, which is genuinely about what are the policies that young people, millennials and Gen Zers, what are the policies that they care about and how do we get them implemented? So that's like, I actually do care about those voices, but so many people have been conditioned to believe that young voters are not a viable voting bloc. Well, what would your response to that be today?
I mean, I think that young voters actually are the reason that we are not living in a dictatorship right now, and I really do believe that. Like, I think they were the reason that Biden won in 2020. I think they were the reason that we were able to hold off the Republican red wave that was destined to come in 2022. And the reason is we stuck to our issues, and we really made it a point to tell young people that Democrats are the ones who are going to bring about abortion rights, gun violence prevention, climate reform, universal health care, student debt relief, all of those things. And when people ask me like, how do we get young people engaged? It's really not about the candidates running so much as it is about the policies that they're running on. And basically, if we can just relate to young people in a way that we're talking about them and their friends. It's not engaging to young people to say Joe Biden passed the Chips and Science Act. Joe Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Like, that doesn't really mean anything to them. It's look at what Donald Trump and Republicans are going to do to your friends. He's going to deport people that you literally know in real life. He's going to criminalize LGBTQ people. He's going to deny your transgender friends gender affirming care. He's going to criminalize them. And that, to me, is way more powerful than just saying, look at all these legislative, even though I just came on this call and did that to you, that I'm saying that to you because I think that you are all political nerds who know why this is important, right? Right. But when we're talking to just an average young voter who really does not watch news, doesn't know what Kamala HQ is on Twitter, like, these are the things that we're going to be able to say to them and make them come out and vote.
So you mentioned some of the issues like the environment and reproductive care. When you talk to young people, what are they telling you that they care about most? What do they want to hear in terms of policies? What do they want to hear right now, for example, Kamala Harris talk about?
It's everything that she's been talking about and does such a good job of talking about. Like, I'm sure you all have heard her talk about abortion rights. Like, she is our best messenger on our biggest, strongest issue, which is abortion rights in this country. The difference of Donald Trump talking about that, where it's like really ambiguous, and I actually have no idea what his stance is. Like, I know it's a national abortion ban, but he's not clear on that. And he's not clearing it for a reason, because he knows it's a losing issue. Kamala Harris, on the other hand,
he's not very smart.
Yeah, he's really stupid. I think
so he can't really articulate what he believes. I mean, the fact is, it's a joke. It's funny, but I mean, the truth is he doesn't have positions because he doesn't care enough to have positions, because he doesn't think it's important.
He completely flip-flops.
And he doesn't want to be a leader.
Yeah. He'll just say whatever he thinks is going to get him the most voters. But when Kamala Harris is on the stump talking about abortion rights, like, she lights up in a way that I don't think President Biden really ever did. Like, he's a devout Catholic.
You're so right.
I always thought that Joe Biden really was never that comfortable talking about abortion rights. On the other hand, Kamala Harris really is, and you can see her kind of light up when she's talking about that kind of stuff. So abortion rights are huge for young people, but also the issue of gun violence prevention. Kamala Harris is the director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. She is the leader, for the first time in American history, of that office. She has made it. The Biden administration gave her that kind of role. They said to her, I think you're going to relate to young people way more. Why don't you take this role? And she's actually done an amazing job. She just visited the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland right before the building was torn down. And there's pictures of her talking to all the families that were there. She looked at the 17 people that were killed. For her, you can tell this is something that she feels passionate about in a way that I think a lot of other Republicans will just kind of take this issue. They'll say, oh, thoughts and prayers, but it's so obvious they really could care less. With her as a mother, I mean, it's just so clear why she's caring. Gun violence prevention is another huge issue for them, and she's proven over the last 3.5 years, however long this administration has been, that she's the person to champion it. And lastly, on the issue of climate reform, I mean, these are also things that young people really, really care about. I've been out there campaigning for swing candidates running in vulnerable Democratic districts. We were just outside in Folsom, California, supporting Jessica Morse, who's running against Kevin Kiley, who's a MAGA freak, an election denier. It was so hot outside that I think a lot of people didn't show up because they didn't want to be outside, and I don't blame them. Young people really don't want to live in a world where the planet is melting. Yeah, it's just ridiculously hot all the time. So all of those things are so important. And really, Kamala, I mean, she's the person to do it. I cannot think of anybody better positioned to go out there and drive those issues and prosecute the case against Donald Trump than her.
I love it. I like that you said prosecute the case against Donald Trump. That's perfect language.
I mean, that's
what we're about to happen. Here on Red, Wine, and Blue, and here on the podcast, we talk a lot about relational organizing. And so people who are listening might have younger people in their families or in their lives right now that are telling them, I don't plan on voting. So if they are finding themselves in this situation and they're I'm just trying to figure out what I need to say or do to get through to them, do you have any advice for them or any tips on how to talk to the young person who doesn't plan to vote to change their mind?
Yeah, I think it would be what I said previously, which is try to find a way that these policies that Republicans are trying to implement will impact their lives. I think a lot of times voters are tuned out until it affects them, and that for me with gun violence prevention was absolutely true. Like, I was not involved in politics until I lost my cousin in a mass shooting. And I think for a lot of other Americans, they feel the same way, where it's like, yeah, it's someone else's problem. Like, it's not going to affect me. The world's going to stay the same no matter who. And I think like actually telling people like, nope, like here's actually how this will affect you. Like I mentioned how Donald Trump wants to criminalize transgender people. Young people are obviously very sympathetic towards that. It's not even something that we think about. Like, transgender people are our friends. And when we see Republicans saying, no, you're not a real human, you're something less, that is something that really I think will get young voters out. And I'm using that as just one example. I mean, when we're talking about the issue of Project 2025, where that will actually fundamentally alter the way that this country exists currently, it will gut checks and balances, and it actually will nationally outlaw abortion. I don't think young people are really tuned into that yet. I think a lot of them are, and I think Project 2025, like, and you've seen the news of it getting more and more Google searches every single day. I still think that young voters are tuned out to it, and that's why we're doing this tour. Like, that's why we're stopping in these districts where young people need to turn out the most in order for us to win legislatively in Congress and get that Democratic majority. But I think just being able to find someone in their lives that they can relate it to, like a lot of times when my grandma tells me something, like, I'm going to listen more than I would to my parents because it's my grandma. So that's just, I think that's also helpful, but really just trying to find a way that it's going to impact them and their friends is the biggest thing.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, when you're talking to these young people, you hear from a lot of stories that they have to tell you. Are there any interesting conversations that you can share? Anything that maybe surprised you?
Yeah, this isn't even this summer. I'll always remember this. Last summer, we did a sit-in at the Capitol building. This was to, just basically ask Congress to be stronger on the issue of gun safety. And, we had a Democratic majority in the Senate at the time. We still do. And I was just kind of very upset that we weren't taking stronger action. So we sat outside the Capitol building for 7 days in Washington, D.C. And our ask was just be stronger on this issue. And we had like 31 members of Congress come out and join us. They signed our pledge. And then, a couple months later, they actually like voted on the assault weapons ban and universal background checks. Anyway, to answer your question, tons of people walked up to us, lots of young people. But something that was actually like especially heartbreaking, and I'll remember this till the day that I'm not on this planet anymore. There was a group of Girl Scouts, like 10-year-old to 12-year-old, like young girls who were walking, just touring the Capitol building with their troop. And they walked up to us with their chaperones, and they kind of stopped and like looked at what we were doing. And we kind of walked over to them and we're like, hey, have you heard about like the gun violence epidemic in the country? And obviously like we weren't trying to scare them or anything, but like I just wanted to know like how young are kids being exposed to this. And we asked them like, hey, have you had to like hide under your desk in school? Like, do you know what a red flag or a code red drill is? And I'm not even kidding you when pretty much every single person out of the 20 young girls that were there, their hands were up. They all had undergone what a code red drill is. Not only that, they had experiences with gun violence that were real, and it wasn't a code red; it was real. That I'll always remember that. And so like this is just what we're subjecting our children to in this country. Out of the fear of taking guns away. So yeah, that was
Oh man.
especially painful to hear and watch.
I don't think that a lot of older adults, even parents, realize that. And I'm gonna try to. So I have a 10-year-old Girl Scout too, and she met with our Congressman Amelia Sykes. And Amelia Sykes was so great with these kids and asked, "What are you guys thinking? What should I know? How should I help you as children?" And the first thing they all said was that they're scared and they don't want to be scared in school. And my daughter never said that to me. I didn't know. I just didn't know it was that top of mind for a 9-year-old. And this is the world that we've let happen. And I mean, we and all of us. And I think we're capable of more. And I am so excited for all the work that you have done. And I
Yeah.
think we can do better.
I just want to say, I didn't know that Amelia Sykes was your congresswoman. We're actually holding an event with her July 27th in Akron.
Oh, love it. I will be there.
Yeah. Yeah, she is incredible, and she's running in a very close race this year, and her seat is one that we absolutely need to keep. So
yeah, and let me just say, since you mentioned Amelia Sykes was given a 15% chance to win last time. 15, 1-5. She won. and she won
Yeah.
actually pretty handily. And it is still a toss-up race. But I will just
Oh, for
say
sure.
she is underestimated. I think Kamala Harris is underestimated. And I am excited about Amelia Sykes, Kamala Harris, and everything. And thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah. As is everyone on this bus. We're so excited.
Wow. Okay. So, where can listeners go to learn more about your tour to save democracy?
Yeah, you can visit tourtosavedemocracy.com. We have
Easy enough.
we have a lot of information on there, but I actually love our Instagram page, which is just at Tour to Save Democracy. So any of those places, again, tourtosavedemocracy.com or just on Instagram at Tour to Save Democracy. Those are really great ways to follow what we're doing. We have probably like 15 more events that we're doing soon, and they're going to happen between now till August 8th. So if you go to our Instagram, you can click our bio and sign up for one near you. We're going to Akron in Ohio on July 27th. We're going to Allentown, Pennsylvania on July 28th. We'll be all across New York. We'll be in Syracuse, Ithaca, Long Island. Those ones are not actually out yet, but they will be soon. So if you go there, you can follow along what we're doing and meet our team, and we'll love to see you.
Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sam.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for this amazing opportunity. I love the podcast, and my mom and I listen to it all the time. So thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Yay!
Thanks, Sam.